All right, we're going to go ahead and get started today. We've got Coach Thompson. He'll have an opening statement. He'll have some thoughts about the class, and then he'll go through each of the signees, and then we'll open it up for questions. We do have the microphone so that those watching on the stream can hear the questions. Coach?
Thanks, Derek. Good afternoon. For my second year here, I'm really excited about the 22 incoming cadet athletes that we do have. The signing class is a culmination of a lot of hard work by our coaching staff, our support staff, and the Citadel community. We've added a strong group of young men that understands the benefits of the time at the Citadel, cadet athletically, academically, as well as within the core cadets. Collectively, this group has won a number of state championships, has a ton of postseason experience, so they understand the commitment that it takes to be successful every day. Coming off 2 straight conference championships has allowed us to be in the conversation with a lot of different caliber students and athletes. That also puts us in the battles with schools we normally don't compete with on the recruiting trail. It's also a very good positive for us. Overall, I'm excited about these 22 young men that we've added to the program today. First one we've got is Jaylen Bar, who's a defensive back from Lake City High School, Lake City, South Carolina. He's a 6', 185, multi-dimensional athlete for us. He is a 3-year letter winner. He averaged 20 yards per catch. We think we can play him at defensive back, cornerback for us. He does play a little bit of wide receiver. He was a South offensive MVP at wide receiver in the North-South All-Star game. Brandon Berry is a big physical B-back. He is from Crawfordville, Wakulla High School in Florida, 5'11", 227. Berry played his final 2 seasons at Wakulla after transferring from Armwood in Alabama. He averaged, that's Mississippi, averaged more than 100 yards per rushing per game as a senior. Finished the senior season with 1,103 yards and 9 touchdowns. Lane Botkin is a defensive back. He's a local product out of Columbia, South Carolina. Played at AC Flora High School. He is 6', 195. He is another multi-dimensional athlete. He's played on both the offense and the defensive sides of the ball. What we really liked about him was the fact that you saw him play quarterback. You've seen him play running back. We really like him at the safety rover position. He's a tremendous football player, and it always helps that his dad is a college football coach. Botkin's a 4-year starter on offense and defense at AC Flora, starting 33 games. Selected the North-South All-Star game following his senior year. Named team's defensive MVP after his senior year, registering 102 tackles, 1 interception, and 15 rushing touchdowns. Aaron Brawley, we're going to play him at 5 technique defensive end. He is on the state championship, Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia. He is a 6'2", 215-pound defensive lineman, 2-year letterman, compiled a team record of 27-2 in those 2 years, served as team captain his senior year on the 7A state championship Grayson High School team. Malik Brooks, another local product for South Carolina, Columbia, Saluda High School. Brooks was a 2-time Lakeland's Player of the Year, gaining more than 4,000 rushing yards, scoring 65 touchdowns in his final 2 seasons. He rushed for 1,935 yards and 35 touchdowns his senior year. Led to a first-team All-USA honors, All-State recognition, Lakeland's Player of the Year. Phenomenal. We're going to play him at B-back. Another tremendous athlete that we've been fortunate enough to build a strong relationship with over the course of the last 5 or 6 months. Noah Cantor is going to help. Noah Cannon, He is a punter, 6'2", 190 from Raven County High School. We had him at camp this year. He is not only a punter, but he is also a wide receiver, so a little bit of a multi-dimensional athlete. Can do a lot of things, maybe more of a threat back there than a traditional punter. Cannon was a 4-year starter at Raven County, boasts a career long of 61-yard punt, named All-State, All-Region, 8 Special Teams Player of the Year recognition his senior year, averaged 37.9 yards per punt. Jonathan Cole, offensive lineman, 6'1", 295. Fuquay-Varina High School, Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. 3-year starter at Fuquay-Varina, helping the Bengals to a playoff appearance each season. Named first-team All-Conference as a senior, blocking for an offense that averaged 31.4 yards points per game. Willie Eubanks played both sides of the ball, multi-dimensional athlete as well. Played a little bit of running back. We're going to play him at linebacker. He's a 6'2", 215-pound from Laney High School in Augusta, Georgia. He's a 3-year letter winner at Laney, earned first-team All-Region honors, was voted team's MVP following his senior year, and led the team into the state 2A state playoffs. Sean Thomas Faulkner, another in-state product for us in the northern part of the state, played defensive back. Another young man that plays a little bit of baseball. He's going to play safety. He's going to play in the secondary for us. Tremendous young man. He lettered 4 years and was a 3-year starter at Easley, named All-Region his senior year after making 92 tackles, including 5 for a loss, 2.5 sacks, 22 pass breakups, 5 interceptions. We're really excited to have Sean Thomas join us. Kendaris Frederick from the upstate. He was part of South Point High School state championship year this year. He has played on 3 state championship teams. He is a punt returner, corner, safety. We're going to probably play him at cornerback. We're excited to have him this year. He was voted the Thomas Davis Comeback Player of the Year as a senior year, collecting 136 tackles, 7 interceptions, 13 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Jabari Garner is going to help us out on the defensive line. Another young man that we've been recruiting for a while now is from Florence, Alabama. He's going to continue the pipeline from Alabama. This time we're going to the northern part of the state. Jabari was a 3-year letter winner at Florence, elected team captain his senior year, served on the leadership squad. Unfortunately, took a knee injury early on in the year and did not play too much of his senior year, but registered 47 tackles his junior year, 8 for a loss, 5 sacks between his junior and sophomore year. Brandon Glick was a young man that we were fortunate enough to get out of the upstate. Brandon came here to a kicking camp that we had on campus, won our kicking competition, and is not only a football player, but is an outstanding baseball player. And we're glad to have him with us. He's going to help us out with our place kicking duties. Glick was a 3-year letter winner, scored 108 points for Wade Hampton High School, perfect 32 for 32 on PAT attempts, and 2 for 2 on field goals his senior year. Hayden Haas is going to carry on the tradition of Texas that we've been trying to establish here with the 2 that we had last year out of the Houston area. Hayden Haas is from Cuero, Texas. He's 6'3", 295 pounds. He is a 3-year letter winner at Cuero. Senior season graded out 98%, recording 151 knockdown blocks, 63 pancake blocks, and not allowing a sack to lead the Gobblers to 13 wins in the quarterfinal round of the 4A Division II playoffs. Comes from a great high school program down there in the Houston area. Jay Howard, listed as an athlete, 6'1", 180 pounds from Lewisburg, Tennessee, Marshall County High School. Another one of those movable pieces for us. We can play him on the offensive side or we can play him on the defensive side. Right now we're probably going to play him as a wide receiver, but things may change as far as the evaluation process goes. Tremendous young man. Howard gained more than 4,000 all-purpose yards in 3 years at Marshall County. Caught 74 passes for 949 yards and 11 touchdowns, while adding 417 total return yards and 23 rushing yards as a senior. Helped lead the Tigers to a district title and Division I Class A 4A state semifinal. Earned all district, all region, all mid-state honors as a junior after collecting 82 receptions, 970 yards, and adding 377 rushing yards. Also returned kicks for them. John Barrett Lewis was part of our push to get bigger on the offensive line. He is out of he's out of High Brighton High School in Lenore, North Carolina. He's a 6'2", 295 pounder. He's the head high school coach's son. He's a tremendous player. We had him at camp as well. Really enjoyed him, and he's going to be a tremendous player here. He's a 4-year letter winner at High Brighton, selected for the Shrine Bowl. Plays a little bit of center, plays a little bit of guard. One of those guys that we can move around on the offensive line. He's an all-county, all-conference honors, blocking for an offense that averaged 46.9 yards per game. Led High Brighton this year to a 14-1 record and a semifinal appearance in the 3A state playoffs in North Carolina. Ryan McCarthy is a young man that we've had our eye on, another young man that we had at camp. Did a great job for us at camp, and he was a 4-year starter under center at Pinecrest, operating in a similar style of offense. He is a bigger style quarterback, He's going to give us the ability to probably be a little bit more multidimensional as far as throwing the ball is concerned in the future. He is a big 6'3", 200-pounder. We could probably see him being about 220, 230 or so by the time it's all said and done. He's got a great frame on him. And he's a 6A co-offensive player of the year, all-state, all-region, directing Pinecrest to 10 wins. Finished his junior season with a school record, 1,284 yards and 22 touchdowns, 495 yards and 3 touchdowns passing. Dalton Owen's going to help bolster that defensive line. Dalton is a 6'2", 302-pounder from Monroe, Georgia, Prince Avenue Christian High School. Dalton was 3-year letterman for Prince Avenue Christian, selected FCA All-Star Game, Georgia Elite Classic following his senior year. Voted Region Defensive Player of the Year as senior after recording 73 tackles, including 14 for a loss and 4 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. We're excited to have him with us. Keontae Sessions, another one of those guys. He started off on our corner board. We flipped him over to our A-back board. He had a great year for Myrtle Beach this year. At a running back position, he's 5'8", 195. From the local area, we're excited to have him. Sessions was a 3-year letterman, playing offense and defense at Myrtle Beach High School, selected for the North-South All-Star Game as well, following his senior year. Named Region 7-4A Player of the Year after scoring 25 touchdowns and adding 74 tackles, 12 for a loss, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. Dante Smith, a young man that we had come to camp, had been around. We're excited to have him. Did a great job with us, and really was a guy that we can do a lot of different things with him. We've got him at wide receiver right now. We think he possibly could play A-back for us. He's got some of those A-back skills. We're going to try to fit him where we need him, but really a guy that we wanted a part of our program, a local product. We're certainly excited to have him. He's a great young man, and comes from a great family. Smith is a 3-year starter at Porter Gaud. Accumulated nearly 1,000 all-purpose yards as a senior, earned first-team All-State honors, and helped lead the Cyclones to a Schizo 3A state championship game. Caught 40 passes, 683 yards, averaging 17.1 yards per catch with 4 touchdowns. We happened to catch some video out here. He was playing out at Sertoma and had a couple of good highlights on his clip right here in our own stadium, so we think he'll feel right at home here with us. Matthew Taylor, we're going to play him at A-back. He's a 5'11", 190-pounder, running back from Johns Creek High School in Johns Creek, Georgia. He's a 2-year letterman at Johns Creek. As a senior, earned all region honors. Team's Offensive Player of the Year award after collecting 1,189 yards, averaging 6.8 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns, and helped lead the Gladiators to 8 wins, the school's first region championship, and an appearance in the 6A state playoffs. John Wesley Whiteside is a young man from Dalton, Georgia. He played at 2 different high schools. He played at Christian Heritage as well as Dalton High School. Made 60 tackles, 4 for a loss, scored 1 rushing touchdown, believe it or not, as a senior. Led Dalton to 14 wins, region title, semifinal round in the 6A, Georgia 6A state playoffs. The junior season was named Defensive Player of the Year, All-State, All-Region, after collecting 85 tackles, including 29 for a loss and 4 sacks. Another really push for us to get a little bit bigger on the defensive side of the ball and help bolster that defensive line. Wally Wilmore, defensive back out of Northwestern High School. Started off at York High School as a junior, moved over to Northwestern High School as a senior year, 5'10", 175. We'd like to get him going at the corner spot. Wilmore led 2 seasons at York before transferring to Northwestern. He caught 40 passes for 690 yards and 7 touchdowns to help the Trojans win the region title and advance to the state 5A state playoffs. Was an all-area selection as a junior quarterback at York High, piloting York into a 4A Division II state playoffs. The one thing about Wally is nice is he's played wide receiver, he's played quarterback. We think he's going to be able to play a good defensive back for us. So that's the class. There's a lot there. I'll take any questions now that anybody has about the class regarding some of those signees.
Brent, coming off of 2 championships, did you guys feel like you really wanted to capitalize on that with this recruiting class, and how close did you come to doing that?
Well, the answer to the last part of the question first is I think we came extremely close to it. We set out to do exactly what we wanted to do. was we certainly did want to capitalize on the 2 back-to-back championships, but at the end of the day, you still have to be a fit for the Citadel. You still have to have the academics. You still have to have obviously the athletic ability, but most importantly, you've got to be accepting of the Corps of Cadets here, which is probably the most important thing as well. I think we've done it with this class of young men. And really, I thought we've done it on 2 fronts. As one, now we've created a pool of athletes that we can choose to play a lot of different positions for us, which I really like, as well as I think we've bolstered both our offense and defensive lines, which is, on both ends, that's what's going to help us win the games in the future.
You talked about wanting to get bigger on both sides of the line. Can you talk about why you felt you needed to do that, and how will these guys help you?
Well, if you want to be a team that's going to run the ball and stop the run, which is what we always preach, we need to push people around, and we can't get pushed around. So we've got to make sure that we've got those body types, and that's what we really aimed for. We haven't recruited a whole lot on the offensive line over the past 3 years, so that was a major focal point. And it was okay for us that we hadn't done it that way, because we were still feeling out the Southern Conference and what we needed to win on the offensive line. And when we step back and we take a look at some of our downfalls or some of our games where we may not have played as well, we felt we may need to get a little bit bigger at times, and we want to make sure that we don't get pushed around. And the way we see the league going on the defensive side is teams are making a push to run the football, and the teams that are having success are running the football in the league. And of course, there's Sanford out there that'll be passing the ball, but I think for us it's going to be a matter of winning the game in the trenches.
What areas of the team do you see these incoming freshmen maybe having a chance to help next year?
The nice part is the special teams. You'll see some new faces on the offensive line, I think, just because of our depth there. But on the defensive side, you'll see most of those guys making probably special teams appearances. Some of our A-backs may have some spots available there. That A-back position was one that we've kind of had to move some guys around. B-back could be one of those spots as well. So on the offensive side, you may see more fresh faces than you would on the defensive side this year.
Brent, you had indicated that you have been expanding your recruiting efforts into Texas, for example. Most of the recruits are from Georgia, South Carolina, the Southeast. What have you done to expand into your recruiting efforts into that Houston area, for example?
Well, to go back to the original point was we signed 9 from South Carolina, so we want to make sure that we cover the state first, and I think we've done a great job of covering the state first before we get out to those far-reaching areas. So in order to do that, you've got to do all your evaluations in the spring and the summertime in state. So you got to commit your man hours when you get into the prime recruiting areas, or the prime recruiting time of December and January, to going outside the state. I spend most of my time in the January month of in-state recruiting, and then I kind of worked my way back out in the later part of January to the Texas, to the Tennessee area, to the Alabama area, to the Florida area. But so it's really a commitment on man hours and a little bit of commitment financially. But to the Texas thing, that region for us is a good region. We've got a great alumni connection out there. There's great military families out there. It's an expanding area. It's kind of like Charleston, where there's people moving to Dallas, there's people moving to Houston. High schools are being thrown up everywhere, and you're not running into as many Southern Conference schools like you do in Georgia.
Brent, in recruiting, you start getting into these rankings, 5-star, 4-star. Aaron Brawley is a 3-star by 24/7, and Jay Howard is a 2-star. What is that meaningful at all for you, or does it say anything about this class that you got some guys with stars next to their names?
I don't think I would have known unless you told me that. Really, between those two is we still got to do a good evaluation, and the evaluation process here at the Citadel, it hasn't changed. First of all, you got to be an exceptional athlete to play for us, and then the academics come into play, and then of course the core comes into play. So all those things, it still really boils down to those 3 things. Is we're still going to take really good football players, and we're going to make them into better football players, and we got to make sure that we've got the right guys in the right positions.
What was it like being in some recruiting battles with kids that had some other D1 options, which doesn't always happen at the Citadel? Was that a little different? Was it fun? I mean, what was it like?
It was fun. If you ask my wife, it was probably nerve-wracking and very stressful for me. Recruiting was very fluid this year, and I think it's going more that direction. is you could kind of see which direction it's going just taking on your phone and pulling up Twitter. And not only I can do that, you can do that, everybody can do that, so everybody can kind of see what's going on in the recruiting world in football. So it's become very fluid. And if you're not up to pace with it, and we're not talking about that as a staff, and we're not having a direction to move, you got to have a plan A and a plan B. And that's what was probably the most stressful, was you found yourself in recruiting battles, and the next thing you know is somebody got dropped, somebody got picked up, and you've got to have a plan for both of those, and somehow you've got to make it fit into what scholarship allotments that you have per position. So it was fun, it was exciting, but it was still stressful, and I couldn't be happier that today was here.
So talk about what's next. I mean, you refer to the fact that this is a big grind, and I'm sure the end of it is significant. So talk about what's on the calendar next and what you guys have to do going forward.
Well, I'll be looking forward to the first weekend off in about 4 weekends, and so that'll be a little bit nicer. Hopefully we'll get some nice weather and go out and play some golf maybe. But I think moving forward is Monday we've got to start evaluating our recruiting process, and we've always got to do an after-action review on our recruiting process while it's fresh in our minds. And then we've got to start to move on to spring football and making sure that we're back training the players that we currently have, because those are the ones that are going to make the most difference. Those are the ones that are going to be the most impactful. Those are the ones that we've got to make sure that are in good shape, that we're coming together as a team. Like I said to the team last year, that 2015 team was long gone before this 2016 team got ready to go. Well, the 2016 team's gone. We've got to move on to the next team, to 2017 team. So that's what we've got to focus our efforts on at this point, and continue to start to work back into spring recruiting after that's all over. But we'll be looking forward to getting back into playing some football here on February 21st.
Can you talk about the negative stuff that you might run into and how you attack that? I mean, I don't see a ton of negatives with regards to your program, but other programs trying to find the same kid or get the same kid may come up with some things. So what do you encounter on the trail, and what do you say to things when they're not necessarily positive about you guys?
Well, I always tell our guys, and I always take the high road, is we make sure that we always accentuate the positives of the Citadel. We know that we're a big target. We know that we're a big target for a lot of reasons. We're a big target to our opponents because we've been winning, so that helps. That helps enlarge that target a little bit for us. But you know what? We've got a lot of great things here. We've got a beautiful city. We've got a great school. We've got a great network of alumni. We've got a great network of help here at the Citadel. Our career services do a wonderful job. Our academic services do a wonderful job. We've got great support here. You just saw the ESPN 3 that came out. I mean, we're a highly watched and regarded football team. So I think I think those are all positives. We just need to accentuate those and let those guys worry about all that other stuff. And if they're too focused on me, then they're not going to focus enough on themselves.
Brent, in the recruiting process, you'd mentioned, the Corps of Cadets component to all this is, different than most other schools. Do you insist that the recruits all come here? Do they all visit here first to just kind of see how things are here as opposed to other schools? Yeah,
absolutely. 99% of them have either been here for games, which is great. I mean, you get to see the walk-on, you get to see the march on here, you get to see the atmosphere. This is one of the best atmospheres in the Southern Conference. You get to see, campus, beautiful campus. You get to spend what's usually pretty good weather in the fall here in Charleston. We also bring them in the summertime. The summertime's a good time for camps, so they've been here for that. You don't get the whole core atmosphere in the summertime, but what you do get is our players are around, so you kind of see what their workout conditions are like at times. Those guys are training. Those guys are around, so you get to kind of get a feel for those guys as well at times. So there's different aspects of the recruiting that they're able to see. But most importantly is when they get here in January and we're in class and we're going to the daily routine and being with our players and spending a few hours with our players on an overnight, or spending a few hours with our players at dinner and getting them to ask questions. And I encourage that, and I encourage them to ask as many questions as you want. We do a player panel where the coaches aren't around and they can ask anything that comes to their mind, which I think is the most important thing. Is there's certainly nothing to hide here, and we would love to be able to expose everything that we've got here at the Citadel to them.